Hey everyone, it's UB. Welcome to another video. In this video, I'll be going through my next potential Bitcoin short position. I just wanted to explain my thought process on this one because I'm basically walking a really fine line on shorting support and potentially getting away with it, but not necessarily shorting support. So from the outside looking in, if I were just to post this chart, it would seem like I'm just really tap dancing along the line of shorting support and being a genius. So I just wanted to explain it a little bit and give you guys my point of view and why I may be taking this short. Obviously, if I do end up taking it, I'll post it as an official trade. But regardless, I just want to keep this on your radar and something to look out for as this price action develops here. So I'm not going to sit here and debate diagonals with you. Diagonals are kind of a touchy subject because some people draw them one way, others draw them a different way. I personally draw them the same way as my range line, so I'm looking for a nice combination of wicks and bodies, but I prefer to go with candle bodies for my diagonals. So for this diagonal support here in particular, I have a nice combination of wicks here, a couple bodies there, and a wick right there as well. Bodies here. So in my opinion, this is the strongest way to go about this diagonal. But again, I'm sure someone will argue and say, well, my way is better. I personally don't care because this is how I trade my diagonals, and I'm not going to change that. For this diagonal resistance, I use strictly candle bodies, as you can see here. I guess we do have a couple wicks in here that just add some more confluence, but regardless, this is kind of the setup, or this is kind of the support and resistance lines I'm looking at for this potential setup. So whenever we do touch this bottom diagonal support, we bounce up to the diagonal resistance, right? So it's pretty typical, right? All we're doing is bouncing back and forth until one side gives way. So what's very important about this most recent potential bounce is that we swept another area of lows right here, right? So we swept these lows, we reclaimed that diagonal support, and in theory, if we're going to follow this same, pattern, we should be retesting this diagonal resistance, right? We should not be sweeping any highs or anything like that. So my argument is that if even after we sweep these lows, if we do not retest this diagonal resistance, or even like this 33.8K area, 34K regardless, which may even end up lining up to be that diagonal resistance, whatever it is, if we don't bounce much further than this, be aware of this cluster of resistance right now that we're up against. So if we don't bounce much further than this, I could argue that we will be selling off just because, again, we swept all this liquidity here. In theory, we should just be bouncing right back up to 34K. Okay, so that's the foundation of my argument. So really what I'll be looking for to confirm my argument is for us to roll over here and maybe retest the bottom diagonal support or retest the bottom of these wicks. Regardless of what happens, I will be looking to enter into a short position. Let's say I do get that retest somewhere in here at 32K, just below that, or I don't know, 31.8, doesn't really matter. I'll see what happens. I will probably be placing my stop loss either at 33.5-ish or at wherever price tops out here. So let's say if this does happen to be the top here and we roll over from here, I'll probably tighten up my stop loss and have my stop just above this high because this is a momentum play, and based on my argument, we should not be reclaiming that diagonal support again after we break down from it from here. Okay, I think that makes sense. Again, I wanted to verbally explain this because if I were to just post the chart as well as my reasoning, it could still seem like I am just going to be shorting support. And I really don't believe that will be the case if we do break down from here and if we don't retest this upper diagonal. So you may be thinking, okay, well, what if we do retest that upper diagonal, I will not be looking to short something up here because we've already had one, two, an attempt at a third here, 4 attempts at this diagonal resistance. So while I'm not necessarily bullish, I could recognize that we have tested this resistance 4 times, and maybe the 5th we break through. But if not, I still think it's more of a higher risk short. While if we break down from here and don't retest that upper diagonal, then it's a more lower risk short position because our argument is stronger than, okay, well, we bounced after taking some liquidity and now we're testing a diagonal for the 5th time. I think that's pretty ballsy, for lack of a better word, pretty ballsy to short a 5th tap of whatever support and or resistance if you're trading. So anyway, I hope this all made sense. If you have any further questions, comments, anything like that, please feel free to share. Thank you very much. Have a good day.